All right, so let's get into this. I'm gonna try to go a little faster today, just because I know people don't really like trying to stay on an analysis for like a whole hour or so. So let's make it simple and easy. Basically, I'm still waiting. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'm still waiting on the dollar to retrace more. Plain and simple. I don't want to um, necessarily sell into it, but it definitely has an opportunity to continue to fall before it goes up again. It's just a little risky, of course, just because obviously the bullish momentum is what I'm paying attention to. But overall, I still want to see it come down, probably closer to that 50 EMA more than anything. And it is holding at this 200 EMA. So, it's definitely possible that it could fall lower than what I want it to, but overall, my bias is looking for opportunities kind of around this area for it to come down to chill out and then eventually make its next wave to the upside, especially based on the interest rates that they're talking about raising those. So, when you go into the 4 hour, you can see how it has this little flag pattern. I'm going to kind of just delete some past stuff. You can definitely see the flag pattern. You can see the golden cross, which is the 50 crossing the 200. So there's a lot of bullish signs set in. When you go to that 1 hour time frame, you do see the correction happening. The lower low, lower high, lower low, starting to kind of chop up. I could see a lower low happening, but with this 200 coming into play, it is at a spot where it could bounce and go. Like I said, I see it coming a little bit lower, but it doesn't have to come lower, right? It could start to move up from here for sure. But me personally, I'm waiting. I want to see it get back into this area where there was so much demand, right? So if it can come back into this 90, 60, 90.627 area, that's where I really am looking for, opportunities to take this to the upside. Um, Anything in between here and here, to me, is just a little bit risky. And you know me, I'm like not even trying to play that risk game unless I see a really good opportunity. So the only thing that will really entice me to play anything before it gets down here is if this thing drops like really heavy. If it drops pretty heavy, similar to what it did here, this was something we were looking at earlier in the week. It just didn't kind of get up a little bit to that 61.8. If it can give something similar, right, then I'll be interested in maybe playing the correction down. But at this point, uh, I think at any point it can go to the upside. Let me just see what this daily candle's looking like. Yeah, we're showing some rejection to the downside, really some indecision. So we'll have to wait and see really what it's trying to do. But like I said, I'm trying to be patient for it to get down here before I really look for bullish moves. Is there any divergence? There's a little bit of divergence going on right now, but not a whole lot. So being patient on the dollar. Doesn't look like there's going to be too many dollar setups, to be honest. Let me clear this out. So it'd be the inverse for EU. I really want EU to come up into this zone that I've had marked off for a good while. Still hasn't got there yet. It's starting to flag out, just how I like it to. I said at the beginning of the week, if it got there fast, I would be a little bit not scared, but my odds would be a little bit favored to the upside. So I'm glad it is just chilling out. Anything at this point, I'd like to see it start to fall once it gets up there. You can see that there's not a lot of volume in right here. So that means if this does break, we probably are going to see it get there fast, which is okay at this point. Now we kind of have like an ABCDE type wave for correction, so that's cool. That's good. That's fine with me. I'd like to see it come up in here actually and start to show rejection. It can definitely make its way up into this volume. If I bring more price into it, let's see where the volume goes. And okay, so yeah, we're sitting at some good volume. If it breaks here, the next bigger node is that right by the sell box. So I would really like to see it go up there, but I'm not sure if I want to play it up there, if that makes sense. Right now, would probably be the time to look to buy it if you want to buy up into this. But for me, I'm just simply either waiting on like a impulsive move up. So I would need to see it kind of really go up high, breaking these, come back in here, something like this, for me to really even try to play the correction. So I'm simply just waiting on it to get there, and then next week, hopefully, it'll sell off. Now let's see where these other ones are at. So this didn't end up getting down into this zone like this, but it is coming up into these areas that I wanted it to get to. Let's go to the daily and see AU. So what I'm trying to do tonight is I'm just trying to find at least one solid high probability setup in the market. And if I can do that, you know, I'll be rocking out that play tomorrow. Okay, this is, yeah, making this flag pattern as well, right? You can see big impulse down, and then these slow, it's basically showing that it's slowing down. So any buys are risky in my opinion. It looks like the momentum to the upside is really kind of giving in, and we could slip through at any point. Now, obviously, you know, I could bring this up here, and I could look for the play a little bit higher as well. Obviously, I want it to come up into these areas to sell from. So, you know, there is still a good amount of pips for it to retrace, but overall, I'm really just waiting, trying to be patient on this. Come on now, on this sell. Perfect flag though, beautiful bear flag. You know, it's almost too pretty. So if it starts to break down before it gets up there, it might be, you know, it might be a play. And really, what I was doing, I was taking the fib from this right here. You can see where the MACD fell out pretty good. I was taking the fib from that, and that's where I had this zone originally, right? That's where I had this zone originally, and I'm gonna stick with this. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm gonna play it from impulse to impulse, or top to bottom, and just be a little bit more patient with it. I can see a lot of volume coming in up here, so I would like to see it come up a little bit higher, break in these EMAs. There is some divergence going on right here on the momentum, so I can see that going down. But overall, I would need to either see an impulse to the downside before I really look to sell AU, or I would need to see the price that I really want. But overall, it's bear flagging out really nicely for it to possibly drop either tomorrow or next week. So I'll be watching AU. Hopefully we get a play on that. Lower time frame would really start to move off with a nice impulse down. If you can see, if it does that, it should come all the way down into here, retrace, and then end up falling. So I think GU is going to be looking a little different just because the pound is starting to really get weak. So let me go to the daily, and I'm actually going to put this mouse, let me see real quick, guys, hold on. Sorry about this. Let me just throw this mouse on here so we can really see what I'm looking at. There we go. Get out of here. All right. So let's see here. Let me hide everything. And just like all the other pairs that are paired against the dollar, I'm looking for them to end up rolling over. The pound looks like it could start to roll over even tomorrow with this type of candlestick pattern. So let's look into that a little bit. The 4 hour, and I had a retracement setup drawn out. Let me delete this. And we have it coming into the 61.8. I could do the same thing as I did with AU, and I could bring it up a little higher, right? I'm really going off this MACD impulse though, where it fell out. So I'm gonna keep it there. We did hit the 61.8. We did make a nice move to the downside. So the possibilities on GU to the downside tomorrow are pretty good in my opinion. I think that we could start to see that happen. You can see some nice volume came in off this candle. There's some untested volume sitting right at 1.3960. So, big volume node right there. I like this little impulse A, B, C. So far, that's going to be the position or the trade that I'll look at for tomorrow. Let me make these my impulse fibs. And that 78.6 lines up almost perfectly with that untested volume from yesterday. So what I'm going to do is look and see what this stop loss would be right here. I'm putting it right at these wicks. Maybe just right above that wick is what I'll do. Be safe with it. Put it at the 78.6. Yeah, about a 21 pip stop, bringing it down into this area of demand. And I'll delete this alert. That's looking okay to me. That's 6.5 to 1. I can live with that. So if these other pound pairs look good, I think that'll be a good play. Now, one thing that's definitely still possible, right? This could just be a little retracement off of this kind of structure right here. It could still play up one more time into this higher volume. So that would be like the risk that you'd be taking right here. Basically, if it breaks here, it's most likely getting all the way up into this area. But this was an overall swing area that I was looking for GU to fall from, and we did get a nice little impulse from that. So that's why I'm kind of in favor of this to the downside. It looks a lot better on the 15-minute. As you can see, it's starting to kind of bear flag. And just, I like this setup. So I'm going to be looking for this tomorrow. I'm going to put alert here at the, I'm going to put it at the untested volume so it kind of gives me a little alert before I'm most likely not going to put a limit order just because tomorrow's Friday and I don't love taking trades on Friday, but I didn't get a whole lot of opportunities this week, so I'm trying to get something in to make a little bit of money. So I'm going to put untested POC because point of control is where the most volume was yesterday, is where the most volume was the day before. So GU looks like a pretty good setup. I like that. In fact, I'm just going to take a screenshot of it so I can have it in my notes. And let me throw this into my chat. Okay, not that chat, but another chat. All right, and then let's see if we can find another good setup. Now, hopefully the other pound pairs that I'll be looking at down here, hopefully they look bearish as well. Got UJ. UJ is looking a little sloppy on the 15-minute. Let's see what it looks like on this higher time frame. Okay, so we definitely have some divergence forming on the higher time frames. You can see this swing right here lines up with this swing, and this swing on the MACD lines up really nice with this. So the market is barely making these, it's like an equal high, barely slightly higher high here, and momentum is starting to fall. So I'm not really wanting to buy UJ at all based off that. This is a higher time frame supply area, so price definitely might still get up into this. So that's why it's a little risky selling it just yet. One thing I'm seeing pretty obvious though, 4 hour has a divergence from this swing to this swing. So the momentum is definitely dying. The volume on this push up is decreasing. So we have volume and momentum divergence. So I'm in favor of UJ to fall. Let me see if there's any type of indication though. What I would say, I don't really like it yet. So this zone right here is a pretty obvious zone. Once this breaks, I'm seeing downside on UJ. So I would really wait for that to break, or if you're risky, right here would kind of be the spot. Put your stop up here. I still think it might have one more move up and then start to, do the thing. So if it does break here though, we should see some type of move like that to the downside into this obvious area of volume. Let me back out a little bit and see If that still holds, and it does, we got high volume here and all the way down here. And it's actually showing that there's not a whole lot of interest up here in these areas. More interest is down here. Let me bring in all the price I can on the 1 hour. And yeah, it's definitely telling me there's not a whole lot of interest up here. It's more down there. I'm going to see what the volume profile is looking like on maybe a daily. That'll get a little bit smaller soon. Okay. Yeah, coming into this area is where I want to see basically UJ get into down there. So 1 hour needs to come all the way down. All right. It's not setting up just yet, in my opinion. Maybe for swing traders it is. But that area up there still could get hit as well. U-Chef. Well, let's just let's clear this off. U-Chef definitely looks like it's gonna come, like it's gonna continue to the upside eventually. And you just see this type of momentum, right? And then price just chop around like this. That's like the biggest sign I've seen in a long time that the market should continue to the upside eventually. So here's this like structure area that really broke. We haven't retested it yet. So I'd like to see it come back and retest down at the 90-40 area, but that's a long ways away still. Let me see what this daily looks like. And I need to figure out how to get this off my freaking computer when those when the song changes. I'll have to look at the settings for that. But yeah, the daily is completely indecisive. It does not know what it wants to do. Of course, like I said, I want to see it retrace more. So like short term, I am more or less bearish on it, but there's no, right, it's ranging. It's ranging. There's nothing really showing me. I mean, it did make slightly lower lows, lower equal high really. It could make a lower low off of this ugliness, but to me, it's not really worth trying to get into a sell. I know Abdul was kind of looking at a sell. I think it was more or less based off of his arbitrage indicator, which can kind of give like early opportunities, which is fire, but sometimes it's not. So, but he's been studying that indicator for years, and that's his edge. So, no hating on that at all. But for me, I'm just trying to be patient and wait for this to come down into these areas to look to buy. You can see how there was this rally and it based out and then it rallied again. If it can come into this area right here, really I'd want it to come down a little bit lower, right? But there's some structure over here, right, in lines up really well. Now the volume profile is basically saying price is going to come a little bit lower than where I want it to go. So that's interesting as well. It could just stop right here at this high volume node as well. There's a nice little zone just chilling right here. Support, resistance. We had a little tiny bit of resistance coming in. So that's just the first area I'm going to look for. If it doesn't get to this 0.9083, then I'm either going to miss the buying opportunity, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to sell into it unless it like really gives a clean 15-minute impulse to the downside. And you can see right here in the MACD how I would decide if it's a clean impulse or not. I basically just use the MACD, and you can see it's kind of ranging. So it would need to like really break out of that for me to really kind of be trying to play the correction. I'm not playing the correction. I know AB is playing it, which is fire, but I'm probably going to sit that out. And overall, I do think it's going to correct down. I'm just not seeing my setup that I wait for, right? Sometimes I can call shots in the market, but if it doesn't follow my specific guidelines and rules, then I just like to sit out and wait. All right, so I need to see this look bullish, very much so. Okay. Good, good. Nice impulse. So let me kind of just delete this. I had drawn that earlier. I'll redraw it in a second. So on the daily, first of all, overall, it's just super rangy in a broader market. Oh, it left a big wick though. So let's see what's going to happen here. As you can see, this looks like a pretty ugly bull flag. You got a nice impulse and then just a correction. So overall, whenever this thing wants to freaking bust out, I do think this is going to bust out to the upside eventually. I've had this fibbed down from this low to this high for however many weeks this has been, since April 21st. And we're finally getting into the areas that I really wanted it to get down to. I remember the first time it wicked the 61.8, I thought, oh man, it's never going to get there. And then it moved up, came back down, wicked it again. I said, oh, it's probably not going to get there. Came up, and now we're all the way back down in here again. We've got very close to that 78.6. So, it still could come down a little bit further. It could come all the way down into, this area, really. And I'm going to go down to the lower time frames. I don't like that daily wick that it kind of left to the upside. And you can see this little bit of volume that just sticks out right here. That's kind of what I'm seeing if it for like the lowest possible price it can get into. If I come all the way over here, you can see that there was an area of pretty much imbalance. Price just took off right here. It never ever came back into that area. So I'm going to go on to the lower time frames and look at that spot to see how imbalanced it really is. Okay. So basically right here is where the market just took off and it never came back. So that price, 84, basically 85 round number, is a price where it could definitely get there. Where's this? There we go. It could definitely get there, but with this type of impulse, I like to try to play another move to the upside. So, and it's kind of making a nice ABC pattern. So it had a big move up, and now we're seeing this A, B, C into this. And you can look at any type of impulse, ABC. So here's the impulse. You can also look at this as like a harmonic type move. So if it can come down into this area, I think that would be a very good opportunity to buy. Just to take a shot at it at least. Because it is in an overall swing area where it could start to move up. So it makes sense that there was nice bullish pressure here. So I would look at this. One thing I don't love about this setup is these equal highs are just chilling right here. So that's like a little sign of liquidity. Price definitely could slam through that and then do its thing. But you can't just time the market perfectly. Every time you got to take some risk when you see a setup. This impulse, you can see what I was talking about with the MACD, how this impulse pretty much, if this is a little bit rangy still, it did break up right here. So let me see what it did on this type of impulsive move, the last impulse it made. See if it offered another setup. It did not. Let me see this impulse. It did not. Okay, this impulse or this impulse it did. So it's kind of 50-50 to be honest. Regardless, this type of risk to reward, it's a 6.3 to 1. That's a great risk to reward. If you want to maybe try to put your stop loss a little lower than these wicks, that might work. But most of the time, if price comes down this low, it's probably going to go a little bit lower and just find your stop wherever that is, right? So that's why I just pretty much risk it at the bottom of the impulse and then look for the move up. It's good risk to reward. So this is going to be another one that I look for tomorrow. And since it's Friday, I'm definitely going to wait for it. You know, I'm not going to get in at the 61.8, which is another good risk to reward, but I'm trying to wait for a bigger, nicer risk to reward. I'm going to put it just a little bit higher so it can alert me when it gets there. This will be another one that let me see it on the 15-minute. That's what I need to look at, because it's going to be an intraday move. Yeah, you can see the 15-minute momentum is a little bit nicer than that 1 hour momentum. So now it is pretty much coming into this top of the channel trend, and I see that. So that's like kind of making me question it, but eventually it's got to break, and so I'm looking for this move to bust through that pretty much. So let me take another screenshot of this and just throw this in my notes. I'm going to start having a little bit more screenshots taken so I can go back and review things a little bit easier. Okay. So that's a good looking setup. Ooh, GJ looking good too. Interesting. Let me go ahead and just delete everything, because that's a lot to just single-handedly delete. So let's check out the daily. All right, overall, GJ is in a daily supply area. So let me mark this off. Supply area. And I'll fix this. Supply. So that's why I'm pretty much not bullish on it. I know that overall the market has been going up, up, up. So that's one thing to kind of keep in consideration. And in any position that you take, you really shouldn't be risking more than the position that you previously took, honestly. You should have around the same type of risk every trade. At least that's how I think you should. So the market showed that it definitely had interest to come to the downside, but then it retraced quickly with this V bottom. So that's one reason why this might fail, and it might just continue up, right? It might just continue to break up. I'm looking for it to come down, though. I want it to come back down at these lows almost, to be honest. Let me see the 1 hour. So we have a lot of volume sitting up here. You can see that is obvious, and that was because there was a whole range up here as well. So there was a whole lot of buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, and then sellers stepped in big time. So now it's coming back into this area, and sellers stepped in again. So that's why I'm kind of in favor of this start to move to the downside again. And there is a nice little bearish flag for me. So let's hit that 15-minute. You can see the flag a lot cleaner on the 15. The volume from yesterday is way up here, though. So what I'm going to do on GJ is I'm going to stick this alert at this volume. And if it can come all the way up there, there's no reason to bring the fibs out. If it can come all the way up there, and this is another risky play because of the equal highs right there. These type of areas, I mean, we're all retail traders, but these type of areas are where, you know, a lot of people are going to try to put their stops, to be honest, because it's a safe spot. But at the same time, they know where our stops are going to be. So that's the risk on this play, but the reward, this is where I'm going to drop my fibs out. So it's a little bit above the 78.6. The reward is going to come down something like almost like an 8-to-1. So that, you know, if it can get all the way up there, that's definitely worth it in my opinion. And it's basically coming back into this low right here. Definitely worth it. You can risk like half of what you're normally risking, and if it hits your full TP, that'll be a great trading day. So, definitely take half your profits after it goes like 2 or 3 to 1, and then just let the rest ride out. That's definitely going to be a move I'm looking for on GJ though. If I was to play it how I normally play it, I would look for it like this, taking it at the 78.6 with my stop pretty much at that same spot, and it's still like a 6 to 1. So in fact, I'm going to give myself an alert before it hits this just so I can look. I'm really going to try to take that position off the sniper like 154.95. But yeah, how I'm looking at all these pound pairs, I know there's 3 pound pair setups at this point. Whichever one retraces the most, it gives me the best risk to reward, basically. Because usually not all the time do they all retrace into these high prices to give you a better price to sell from. So if they all do, then I might split the risk up, right? Let's see if GA has a same type of move. So GA, I have to be honest on GA. The beginning of the week, this is what I was looking for. It had fallen out from this structure, and it broke this structure right here with a nice impulse down, and it started to create this flag. Well, I had a limit order at the 78.6 with my stop loss literally at 1.5819. And you can see what happened here. It wicked it and then just went straight to the TP spot that I looked for. It was a terrible day for me. I don't mind getting wicked out like that, but when it drops straight to the TP off of a 6 to 1 risk to reward, because I had the alert below. That's how I usually play it. Alert is below where I'm trying to get in at. My alert got hit, and then almost immediately it comes right up, and it stopped me out right before it came all the way to the TP for a 6 to 1. So that was annoying. I had to wake up to that because it happened at London, and I woke up probably around this time, and I saw that it was already headed towards my TP. I was like, what? So that was, let's just get that off my chart because that was so lame. Let's go to the 1 hour. Actually, let's go to the daily and see what the daily is talking about. So there's divergence on the daily still. The way I find if divergence is done with is if it comes back to an intermediate type of moving average, which mine is a 50. I know if I threw the 20 moving average on there, it's probably at that 20 on the daily. So yeah, you can see it. It's pretty, divergence is pretty much over with at this point, but I'm looking for this to continue to the downside based off of price action. You can see there's a nice bearish candle. So if it can retrace up into the bearish candle, I think we have another move to the downside into this area, or really all the way down into here, but I wouldn't expect it to get there in one day. I'm really just looking for intraday moves. So the 4 hour broke through the 50 EMA, gave some nice impulse on the MACD. There's some volume sitting up here, so let's go down to the lower time frames, and this is pretty much where I'm seeing an opportunity. So I would need it to like spike up just like it did right here and then fall. So I would need kind of a spike drop. I like the way the MACD is converging. So price is making lower lows, and so is the MACD. So that's a sign that the momentum is increasing to the downside and off of the bearish divergence. So price was making higher highs, the divergence set in, then now we're getting lower lows on the MACD with the price. That's telling me we should see continuation to the downside tomorrow. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to retrace into, the 78.6 based off of this impulse, or if it's just going to be based off of this impulse. So what I'm going to do is go to the 15 minute, And this is a little tricky at this point because just like, I mean, it's on all the GBP pairs, right? They all have these little equal highs or on EG equal lows that it could come and snatch and then make the move down. So it's going to be one of those situations where, like I said, I'm not putting a limit order tomorrow, but I'm putting a bunch of alerts at areas where if I see price get to this and then start to reject, then I'm going to look to get into the market. But it definitely could still come all the way up into this manipulation area, just like it like it did to me earlier in the week. Come up into this manipulation and then fall. So that's why I don't really want to put my stop right here like I usually would. When I see an impulse like this, I usually just fib top to bottom and look for the retracement to the 78.6 and drop. And in fact, you know, that's what this would look like right here. I bet the 78.6 is sitting right there. Yeah, so I'm going to put this alert a little bit lower so I can see if that's going to be the play or not. And, you know, it's the same thing. The risk is going to be there. This was the 78.6. Oops. This was the 78.6 right here. So the play is still there. You know, the odds of this getting hit, it could definitely happen, just because it's the liquidity, right? But it's still the same thing, a good 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So it might be worth playing. It might not. Just got to wait and see what the price action looks like as it gets into this price. And if it starts to get there at London, like if I wake up and I have alerts during London, because I usually will wake up around 2 or 3 to see what the London Open looks like. And if the London Open looks something like this, where it races there really fast, then I might try to wait to see if it goes a little bit higher, right? And if not, regardless, I do see lower prices coming, so I'm going to try to take advantage of that tomorrow on these pound pairs. Pretty much all the pound. I'm looking for the pound to get weak tomorrow, so either EG is going up or the pound is going down. All right, EA should look. Okay, so that's how you can tell when the pound is really kind of moving these pairs, when GA looks a little bit more impulsive to the downside versus EA. And I didn't take screenshots of these, but that's okay. I'll go back and do that. Let me go to the 1 hour. We're starting to get some bullish divergence setting in. So prices coming down, but you can obviously tell that the momentum is slowing down without even seeing divergence. The price action is just starting to slow down. And overall, it's pretty bullish. It broke some structure though. It's sitting at the 78.6 of the last swing. So this looks like a opportunity for swing trade. So I'm not really a fan of swing trades, but it would need to really break above this. And honestly, I'm looking for this to just continue to the downside. There's not a whole lot, you know, it's been kind of ranging and kind of ugly. So I don't love EA unless I see a clear impulse. To me, this is not very impulsive. It did drop nicely, but it dropped very choppy-like. So I'm going to hold out on EA. If anything, I'm going to stick on these GBP pairs. Let's see what gold's looking like. Gold is just sideways. So let me just kind of delete this. Gold's very sideways right now. I wouldn't want to trade it. It's in this range. Until it breaks out of that, I don't really see anything going on. This could be a little Wyckoff schematic as well. So we do have a move up here, here, secondary test. Now we're in phase B. If we do get a spring down and it pops back up like this, it very well might start to retrace up. So I know it is looking like a bear flag as well, right? Definitely looks like a bear flag, but you can see this momentum divergence is pretty heavy right here. So watch out if it does break these lows. To me, that's not something that I would ever get into. You know, it's already fell really hard. So if I'm looking to sell gold, I need to see better pricing. I need to see it come way up. So that's why I would be looking for some type of bullish opportunity versus a bearish opportunity, just because it's already dropped too much for me to look to just keep selling a breakout. I wouldn't be looking for something like that. I have this range here for if it fakes out, comes up, and gives an opportunity like that. But other than that, I'm not playing gold. Most likely not playing gold tomorrow at all. Okay, the VIX is just not trying to play the upside at all, to be honest. I've been waiting for the VIX to pop, and it just won't. It just won't pop. So, you know, it's trying to hold right here. I'm still not going to buy into the indices with them being so high, but this looks like it's going to come down into these levels eventually. When and if the VIX gets this low, I will be shorting the indices no matter what. So let's go look at these. I'm sure they're at all-time highs at this point with the VIX dropping like this, and they still are. I don't really trade these a whole lot, to be honest, unless they give literally perfect setups, just because they almost always go up, and my technicals are telling me that they're setting up for a drop. So it's not really how I trade, I guess. So all-time highs, but we have momentum divergence. Low volume, even though we're making higher moves up, is telling me eventually it should start to roll over. But I mean, I don't know what's going on with these. They just don't want to drop, really. So even when they do kind of make a drop, they just retrace and go to the upside. So it's probably smart not to try to short them at all until you get like the biggest, clearest sign in the world that they're going to fall. And I mean, shit, right now, to be honest, I'm seeing 3 waves of divergence. It doesn't get any cleaner than that for a drop opportunity for me. So if it, I mean, let me look at these other ones. I'm not just going to randomly short it right here. I would need to see some type of structure break or some type of impulsive move. But the momentum is telling me it should start to roll over at least. This is doing the same thing. It's got big momentum divergence. I've been wanting it to come all the way down here if I was ever going to buy it. Now I got to kind of move this up a little bit. This is kind of a swing area where I expect it to probably go up again. This was the manipulation area that it didn't even respect that at all. But yeah, there's definitely the same type of momentum divergence. I believe it's on all the time frames as well. Yeah, it is. So let's do this, and you can kind of see how the market is making higher highs, but the momentum on the daily is not with it. So I'm not, I mean, yesterday was a very bullish day though. So it's one of my rules where I'm not going to short this tomorrow based off of, you know, this candle. But if we get a bearish engulfing, I'm sure this week will look a little bit like a wick. I think this has the same type of look to it. Yeah. So yeah, these things are probably going to keep going to the upside. no matter what I freaking say. But here's a nice little swing opportunity. If you're a swing trader, if any of them look bearish, it's US 30, right? US 30 made a way bigger move than all of them. They have broken the lows. It's starting to slow down into this swing area. There's a lot of volume right where we're at. So I would, if I see a 15-minute, if I see some type of 15-minute bearish move, then I think that'll be a good play. It does kind of have like a ABC pattern to it with big time divergence, and it is far away from the 50 EMA. So this might start to roll over sooner than later. I would maybe wait for some type of structure to break, but it's just making these moves up. So it's really risky. I'll be watching it just because it's kind of setting up for a drop. If anything, I'll be watching this one more than any of them for a drop. But yesterday's bullish candle, which is this whole move pretty much right here, is kind of going against that. It looks like if anything might happen is it might just come into this a little bit and then end up going up again. But overall, it is in this swing area from this top to this bottom where it's retraced, and we should expect to see some bearish move because the bears really did step in pretty heavy right here. And that's pretty much where we're at. I do expect a bearish move, but I don't want to just play the swing and just have to hold this for a couple days or so. I want to try to just play an intraday move off of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for some type of impulsive move down. If I don't get it, then I'm not playing them. Okay, the cryptos. The cryptos made a very interesting play. So we spoke about this. Was one of the 3 moves that I wanted to see. If I said if it springs below this support line and then it closes back above it, I think we're going to make our way back up to 40K-ish. And, it's starting to make that move up. So I'm still not 100% convinced. The second thing I was looking for was a was a change in structure. Well, we sort of do have that now. We sort of do have this little bullish structure forming. So we had this move up, took out these highs. We had to move down. That's a lower high. And now we have a higher high. So the bullish structure is kind of setting in. The third thing I was looking for is the golden cross on the 1 hour. If I can see this 50 EMA cross above this 200 EMA, I will be a lot more confident that this is going to get back up to 40K. And then at that point, we would need to see some other confirmations for it to break 40K. But this is looking a little, I'm not too convinced. You can see market is kind of making these higher highs, like I said, but the momentum is starting to slow down a little bit. Now, if this breaks some type of trend like this, it's probably coming back down into these areas, to be honest. It's kind of got this little rising wedge look to it. I'm not in love with that. And it's kind of, it broke the 200, but if it just falls right a little bit more, it's going to be below the 200. So we'll see what happens. I didn't have any setups for it, just because I don't want to play it on margin like that. But just overall, I'm thinking if we can start to hold here and we make a sharp move up, then this divergence will be pretty much done for, and we should start to see some type of bullish pushes. It's definitely possible that this move was a spring. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, spring, it's basically just a stop hunt. But Richard Wyckoff, the Wyckoff method in an accumulation area, you can go look up the schematic. And in fact, let's just pop this up real quick. Sorry if I blind you with this white screen. Let's go to, we're at Google, and I can type in Wyckoff's accumulation, and let's go to this nice website right here that I advise everyone to go check out. You can read up on this method. But basically, it's how the big boys position themselves. And here is what they do, pretty much. So you get a mark down, a preliminary support, and then a secondary or selling climax, an automatic rally, a secondary test, and then it comes down and tests again. Then the spring comes below everything, and then we start to test up, and we kind of chop around a little bit. So this is pretty much where I think we are right now. And if I go onto Bitcoin, you can kind of see how that looks very similar. You can see the automatic rally, the secondary test in phase B. We'll look at that again real quick. So you can see how this is all very similarly playing out. And like I said, I think we're right here. We have the spring, and the spring says right here, it usually occurs late within the trading range. It will allow stock dominant players to make a definite test of available supply before the markup campaign unfolds. The spring takes place below the low of the trading range and then reverses within the trading range. This action allows large interest to mislead the public about the future trend. So basically, you know, a lot of people thought, uh-oh, we're about to really drop, but then the demand kicked in really hard, and now it's starting to chop up, just like we see right here. It fell down, and now we're starting to chop up. We've literally created this structure right here. So that's why I'm saying there's definitely a possibility that this thing can start to really take off. Now, like I mention all the time, I wouldn't want to trade this on MetaTrader, to be honest, because it's so volatile that it's been moving thousands of pips a day, and you know it's not really worth risking on a MetaTrader. See, from here to here, that's like 3,000 pips, and you know, a day. So I wouldn't really try to catch a position on MetaTrader. I would just start thinking possibly, you know, dollar cost averaging into these cryptos. If you haven't already, you know, 35K Bitcoin is still pretty cheap, right? Especially people are calling for like 100K, 150K. I think eventually 500K Bitcoin isn't even out of the question. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't think it's too crazy. Ethereum is just the same thing. It did pretty much the same thing. It went a little bit below this trading range into this demand. I actually had a position on it on MT4 yesterday, but I didn't want to say that on on the channel because I tell people not to trade on MT4. But this one's, you know, same thing. It made this Morningstar pattern and held at this demand area. It is below this 200, but we have the divergence. I see possibility of it moving up. Now, I will say this: if those lows get broken again, these things are gone to the downside. I mean, literally, they're going to fall hard, because what this spring talks about is that if these areas don't hold, then that just means the demand wasn't there, and we're going to see a big move down. So it's like I said, it's just a possibility that these are getting ready to move to the upside, and you know, it's regardless if it does drop from here or not. These are still good prices overall, long term, for you to be able to buy and just hold and not have to worry. 5 years from now, we'll look back at these prices and we'll be like, wow, can't believe Litecoin was at $1.36 and I didn't buy it, type shit. Same with XRP. You know, XRP actually dipped into the 50 cents, and now it's already back up to 67 cents. So it dipped all the way to 51 cents. Yeah, 51 cents, and it's already back up to 67. So they did do like already a nice 30%, 34% gain. You know, if you put $100 in, you're up $30. So just be aware, I guess, that if they start to move like really bullish, that we're probably about to start the next little cycle to the upside. The only thing that like really sucks, I guess, about all this is there's one big indication that I could be completely wrong about this. And that's this right here, this 50 crossing below the 200. That's called the death cross. And when you see that on a higher time frame, it's usually telling you like, yo, the trend is really about to go to the downside. So like I said, I could be completely wrong about this, and we might see lower prices all the way down into 20K. I'm seeing even 15K, to be honest. The volume profile on this thing, you can see there's good volume in right here, but if we slip, this is what I'm trying to say, if we slip here, we could come all the way down to the likes of where this, even this 10K down here, I wouldn't even be surprised because of how much volume is down there. And with this measured move from A to B, if this slips down, you know, this is coming all the way into 22. If I measure the last impulsive move down and bring it like this, from the top of this impulse, that's coming all the way into that 10K. So, you know, measuring the moves, Elliott wave, all that jazz, it's, you know, if I'm wrong about this spring, which I don't care if I'm right or wrong, regardless, if it comes down here, it's just better pricing. You know, then you can sell your car and buy Bitcoin. I'm kidding. But, yeah, ultimately, guys, I have a good amount invested into the crypto market. No, I'm not going to lie. So I'm, of course, wanting it to go up. So the like emotional factor for me anyway, you know, this is one of the most emotional currencies ever, right? Assets ever. So, you know, the emotional part plays into the fact that I want this to go up as well. But I'm also aware that if price gets down here, to me, it's just going to be better pricing to be able to accumulate. Because if you do study this crypto stuff and you do understand what's going to happen in the future, then you will understand that all of these coins are going to be back up above all-time highs. You know, we got a list right here of a good amount of coins that, you know, I really do think almost all of these right here, they're all on sale. You know, Matic, right? Matic was all the way up at $2.75 from the top to very bottom. It did a 65% correction, right? Same with the graph. This is another one that I'm really looking at. From its highs all the way here, it's done an 85% correction. So these are all so cheap right now. At this point, if they get any lower, it's just better pricing to buy into again. Remember BAT, when I used to go over this all the time, I bought BAT way down here and it ran up and it made me like 8 times on my money. Well, now it's all the way back here again. So, you know, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep buying BAT and watch it come up again one day. ENJ, another great one. Link, where's my link? Link, another great one. All of these, you know, Tron's actually starting to move a lot nicer than some of the other ones, to be honest. Tron's already starting to really pop out of its, you know, bottom, and it really is showing signs of strength to go to the upside. So Tron might be one to, if you can even, I wouldn't say if you can trade it on margin, but, you know, let this come down a little bit and look to get into Tron. They've all started to really move really nicely. So that's my little rant on the crypto market. They're in spots where it could definitely go up. I'm not 100% sure yet, but yes. All right. That's it for me. I am about to head out. I said I was going to make this Zoom less than an hour. I'll show you GJ again, bro. And I definitely didn't make it less than an hour. So I guess I just rant and talk or whatever. So yeah, GJ, I said I'm looking for the bears here shortly almost. We had a nice move down. Am I on mine? No, I went to JPY, so let me see right here. Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm looking at for GJ, really. I would like to climb up a little bit higher than this, where this volume is at, but ultimately, it came out of a supply area, made a big move down. So let me just hit this button right here. It came out of a supply area, made a move down. It is overall bullish. Yesterday we had a nice bearish candle. I'm looking for it to possibly chill out right here. You can see the impulse down a little bit better on the lower time frames. We get this impulse down. We're getting a bear flag. I would love for it to come up into this area and then fall. That's what I'm looking for on GJ. And it's a 6-to-1 risk reward, so no reason to put the house on it. You can end up getting a nice reward for a little risk. So that's what I'm looking at. Yep, I think we're going to drop too, man. I'm just hoping to get a good price on it. If not, I'm going to miss out and be butthurt. So if there's no more questions, guys, I'm going to head out. I'll post this recording on YouTube, so if y'all want to go back and look at it or anything, then that's cool. If not, that's cool too. But yeah, this also is going to be one of my last kind of free webinars that I really do like go over in depth. I'm still going to post some free info, but the Next Wave platform is almost all 100% set up, and we're about to really start accepting members. And we already do have a 25% off, and that's going to be good for another 2 days. But we're going to be just starting strictly giving out that info exclusive to the Next Wave channels and the members that come onto the channel. We want to really be able to give them all of our attention. So if you're interested in some type of mentorship or just being a part of the community, I really advise to go check it out. You can go on to Next Wave or trade the nextwave.com and go check out the website. If it's for you, then definitely contact us, and we can still give you that 25% off discount. And we would really like to see some people show out for that, so we can really help everyone, just become a better trader. That's what we're really trying to do. We're not trying to hype it up. We're not trying to be any type of network marketing company or anything like that. We're really just trying to create some really good traders so everyone can actually learn the correct way. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro, I got you, Blake. But yeah, check out tradethenextwave.com, and then you can go to our YouTube channel. We post a whole lot of content on there. We're going to continue to post on the YouTube channel, so just it's not going to be as in depth, or because we're going to save it for our members, really, because that's what is going to be included in their package. But I'm definitely still going to be able to give out free value. I know Abdul is still going to give out free value. It's kind of like what we do. But yeah, don't sleep on the goats for sure, man. You know it. We've been doing free analysis for over a year. It's been closer to 2 years now than a year, and we just feel like it's only right to give it to the people who are going to take it a little bit more serious. I know anyone who comes on these analysis at 10:30 at night is taking it serious, but like I said, this is going to be one of the last webinars I do for free. I might pop up every now and then, kind of like I did tonight, and throw some sauce into the pot. But other than that, guys, I really appreciate y'all for coming on, checking it out, and make sure to give it a like on YouTube, get our stats up. You know what I'm saying? So y'all have a good night. Take care. Peace out.